Hey everyone, we are back again working on this third gen Ram. Today's project is replacing the stock bumper. It is completely rusted through on both sides. The road salt around here just really does a number on these kind of components. So I found a blacked out replacement one on Amazon. We're going to put it on and see how it goes. Underneath here you can really see how this is attached to the frame. There's really these two brackets that hold it, and that's really it. So hopefully this is a nice easy project. So this is the replacement bumper unboxed. I was actually pretty surprised. This is basically a stock bumper painted black. Buying it off Amazon, I was kind of rolling the dice. I wasn't sure what I was going to get, if it was going to be dented when it got here, but everything came out pretty well. Something to keep in mind here is that this is not a powder coated bumper. It's painted black, so it will be easy to scratch if you're not careful with it, so you may want to be prepared to touch it up in the future. So the tools we'll need for this is a 15mm socket, various extensions, a T25 torque driver, a pair of needle nose pliers, and if yours is as rusty as mine, you're going to need some way to get some nuts and bolts off, whether whatever your preferred tool is, a grinder, a nutcracker, and a pry bar never hurts to have. So going back to that bracket I showed you before, what I've decided to do is to leave the inner part of the bracket attached to the frame and then disconnect it in the middle there and remove the rest of the bracket once the bumper is off the truck. Some other things we're going to have to remove here is the license plate lights, there's the trailer brake hookup, and something I added is a block heater connection from the rear of the truck. So let's get into it. First, I started by removing the license plate bulbs. Then you got 4 torque bits here to remove the trailer connector. I find it easiest to pull out the connector and remove the plug once it's out from the front here, rather than trying to do it while you're under the truck. You get that little red safety connector and then a little push, and just tuck that back inside. So this is the block heater connection I was talking about. It's just 3 Phillips screws. This is something that I added, so your truck probably doesn't have it. Now that all the electrical is disconnected, we're going to move on to removing this bracket. Now these 2 bolts are welded to a bracket, so you don't have to put a wrench on them when removing the nuts. Then just repeat this for the other side. It's exactly the same. Now the back of the truck in the center, you have these two 15mm you got to take off. So from the underside, you have these little pressure clips thing that's holding the plastic on the step part of the bumper. So all you want to do is squeeze those and kind of push them up through the little holes that they're in. So just take your time, get each one, and once they're off, you could just lift that plastic step right off. Now the only thing still holding this bumper on is 2 15mm bolts, one above each of the brackets on either side. And once those are off, that's it. You just pull the whole bumper right off the truck. So now that it's off the truck, you can really see how bad shape this is. It's just falling apart as soon as you touch it. So next we have to remove the second half of that bracket and swap it from the old bumper to the new bumper. Now they're held on with these bolts that are flat on top and they have squares, so they sit in the hole, so you only have to remove the nut on the bottom. Now as you can imagine, those were rusted, the holes were round, so they just spun. That's where that grinder or nutcracker comes in place. So I went to the auto parts store, got some replacement ones, and we are back in business. So these are the brackets that got removed, and we're going to put them onto the new bumper just like this. And while these are off, I hit them with a wire brush, some sandpaper, and hit them with some rust preventative undercoating. Once we have the brackets bolted up to the new bumper, we can go ahead and put it on. So once it's on there rested, you can go ahead and bolt everything up the exact opposite of how we did it the first time. And then we're going to take that plastic skin that we removed and we're going to put it on this one. And all you're going to do is you're going to push those little pressure clips through all the little holes that they line up to. Once that's done, we're going to move on to the electrical stuff, the trailer connector and the license plate lights. Make sure those connections are nice and clean. Maybe even put some dielectric grease in it if you want, and then put all those screws and everything back in. Now the license plate lights, my spring clips that held them in were completely shot. I had to order new ones, but basically they look like this, and they just kind of go, after you stick in the bumper, they slide right under like that. And as I said earlier, I have the block heater connector back here, so I had to drill the bumper to accommodate that. Now I know what you're thinking. All this work and I put that faded crappy plastic back on this bumper. Don't worry, we're not done yet. I got these two products from chemical guys that I really like. Nonsense, which is just like an all-purpose cleaner, and this tire and trim gel, which is great on plastics. So all I do is I spray it on the cloth, wipe everything down, get it real nice and clean with the Nonsense. Then once everything's nice and clean, I take a foam applicator and rub the tire and trim gel all over everything, and it comes out looking almost new. I'm a big fan of this stuff. I use it on my exterior trim all the time. Just really works great, bringing that faded plastic back to life. And that's that. There it is, all cleaned up, all fully installed. I still got this tailgate rust I got to deal with at some point, but today's project was the bumper, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The black really plays nice with the fender flares I have on and some other black pieces like the door handles and stuff, so I'm really happy with it. If you're looking for a replacement bumper, you know, this isn't a bad option. It's not a bad price. Like I said, though, this isn't powder coated. This is painted, so just be aware of that. Thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. If you liked it, please subscribe, like it. I got more projects coming up in the future.